Okay, you can see that my simulation has started, and it looks like, seriously, I'm using Windows 8. I'm really not. You can still see I've got an Apple menu up here. There's a dock down here. This is just a simulation, and it's just the very top portion that's part of the simulation. Notice down here it says 1 point, WD setup 1.1.1, create and save a document. Now this information is really not important to you. The information is important to me because you may have a problem and you want to get a hold of me if you're in an online class and say, I'm having trouble with one of the questions in such and such chapter. Well, it's very hard for me to know what you're talking about, so this gives me a reference point. I'm having trouble with 1.1.1. I keep doing it and it's not working. And I can go and test it out and see if something is going wrong with it. Here's some learning aids, accessibility if you'd like it to talk to you. But the main thing is here, right here in this square, Start Microsoft Word is in bold. That's the step that you're on. The rest of this, click the Insert tab. We're not to yet. That's why it's gray. That's why it's tiny. It wants us to do this before we can move on to this. This is where your questions will be. This question is rather short. When you get into the more advanced Excel stuff, you'll have a number of them and they'll kind of scroll off the bottom. You won't be able to see the whole thing. And notice it says you have on question 1, and there's 17, and you have 5 attempts. Now you get 5 attempts on this before it's actually going to even mark you down. That's always a question that students have. Well, if I click on 4 things and it keeps telling me that I'm getting it wrong, what's going to happen? Well, nothing. Your score is just fine until you run out of attempts, and then that's 1 little point off. And so this is a very forgiving simulation. It gives you quite a bit. And notice it also has a save button. So you don't have to feel like, well, man, I got to finish all 17 questions right now because it won't let me save. If you ever get here and this save button doesn't work, you let me know, and let me know as quick as you can. This save button should always work. It could be on any one of these questions, hit save, and then it will say, okay, you want to save this for later, and you say yes. It will also automatically submit. So normally you're not really ever clicking this. But if you get to the end and you're like, well, I'm done with my questions and it's still sitting here staring at me, then you would hit submit. Now, 1 point on this. This submit button can be important if you get behind on things. If you've gotten behind on things and you've finished half of these simulations but never ever hit submit, then that means it's sitting there as a 0 instead of being worth a 50 because you finished 50%. So most people do not have that problem. They go through each one, they finish all the assignments, they do very well, and they get an A in the class. Some people, though, they fall behind for whatever reason happens, and then they've got 3 or 4 assignments that they haven't submitted, but they've gotten halfway through. Remember that if you haven't finished an assignment and you know, well, I'm just not going to be able to get to that, open the assignment up and hit submit. That way you'll get some score for that, because a 60% on an assignment is much better than a 0. So let's look at this step. Start Microsoft Word 2013 and begin a blank document. Okay, so where do we find Word? I'm not seeing it here. If we scroll over to the right, oh, okay, so there it is, Word 2013. So I'm going to click on that, and it looks like it's starting it. Like I said, this is a simulation, but it looks exactly like the program. And then, of course, the other thing it wanted is begin a blank document. It doesn't say begin a facet design. It doesn't say begin a single-spaced blank. It says a blank document. And you'll notice that their instructions are very specific. So let's go ahead and click on that. And there is our blank document. Now notice I am going to the next step. Click the Insert tab, insert text from, and then it shows you where it's located. Now you may get to this point and think, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I've never inserted anything. Under Learning Aids, you can watch or you can have it step you through or practice. So let's go ahead and say, well, I've never really done this, so I'm going to watch how it's doing this.
Save a blank document so that as you type or insert text, you can simply click Save on the Quick Access toolbar to save updates to the document. You might find occasion to insert text from a previously saved file into a blank document. In this case, your supervisor at the refuge created and saved
All
a
right,
rough
so here's
draft
the
of the
part that we
article
were
regarding
talking
summer
about right
camps.
here.
You insert text from her document into the new blank document that you have opened and saved. Inserting text can be a time saver, enabling you to reuse and modify existing text. Selections on the Quick Access toolbar, including Save, provide one-click access to common commands. The File tab includes general options related to the open document. The Close option closes the current document, but leaves Word open. The Close button in the
I'll
upper
go ahead
right
and
corner
stop
of the
that.
Word